Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspiring People. Today we have James Scott, who is going to share his amazing story, and I'm so grateful he has the courage to share it with all of us. James, you want to start?
Yeah. Hi, Candice, and thank you for having me. Well, I'm going to start by giving a brief summary of my experiences, and after that I'll give a more detailed version. In the summer of '99, I was 21 years old, and I was on vacation in Southeast Texas.
In Texas?
Yeah, Southeast Texas. And in well, in 1 month that summer, I got mugged, sexually assaulted by a person who was supposed to help me. Then I became homeless, and soon after I met my wife, my long-term partner. We're no longer married, but for various reasons, we still have daily contact. And what happened was that in June, July, I was visiting two friends. They were living in Houston, about 2 miles south of NASA Space Center. And at first, things were really great. We would go out, go parties together. But I soon discovered that the two of them were using a lot of drugs, marijuana, LSD, ecstasy. You name it. And I guess the drugs affected them mentally, so they became very paranoid. And after a while, I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to go stay with another friend until my departure.
Now, you're from, where are you from?
I am from Sweden.
And why were you visiting in Texas?
Well, I had known them for some years. I met them when I was in junior high.
Oh.
I met them online, but it became more than that. We started exchanging real letters, phone calls, birthday presents, Christmas presents. We had a common friend and so on. A friend that I had met in real life. And yeah. So that day when I left them, on my way to the bus stop, I accidentally got lost because I wasn't too familiar with the area yet. And it got very late, and I wandered about for hours until I ended up getting mugged. And I figured my life was more important than my money, so I gladly gave my money away. And then I made it back to my friend's apartment, but by the time I got there, they were no longer there. They had left for Dallas. They were going to be on vacation, so I had nowhere to stay. And for some time, I don't know for how long because I sort of lost track of time. Maybe a week, I was living in a park. I was eating and drinking whatever I could find. I remember it was very warm, lots of mosquitoes everywhere, and at nights I would hide in the woods, sleep in the woods, because I had heard gunshots, and I didn't want to get assaulted a second time. And one day I was approached by a man. He asked me what had happened. I told him about, my incident there. And he told me he lived nearby, so he offered to give me a ride to the police station. And he took me there, and when I was done giving my report, my testimony to the police, I found out that he and another officer had spoken, and that officer recommended me to stay with the stranger who had drove me there. And because he apparently had some experience with exchange students, so they both figured it was a good idea. Now, what they didn't tell me was that this person was a registered sex offender, And so, well, the first thing I did when I got to his house was he seemed really nice, and I took a shower. I washed my clothes because I was really dirty from living outside, and then I had some dinner, and this was on July 16, because I remember as I was eating, I heard on the news that President Kennedy, like Kennedy, his son John F. Kennedy Jr. was reported missing, and well, the guy I was staying with, he must have put something in my glass because it became more difficult to move, and it felt like I was in a jar of jello. And he had promised me that, well, he had prepared a bed in the guest room, but he then took me to his own room where he was supposed to sleep. So it felt a little suspicious, and then I remember he locked the door from inside with a key, and so, like the front door. So there was no way for me to get out. First I thought I could perhaps wait till he had fallen asleep, and until the drugs had left my system, and perhaps I could escape through a window or something. But then I noticed that all the windows had metal bars, and but then he came into the room, he did his thing. I remember looking at the time, it was 5-6 p.m. when it started, and I passed out a few times and woke up, and so I estimate that it took amount of time to perhaps 12 hours, something like that. And the next day, instead of going back leaving the country like I had planned, I decided to report this to the police, and then I had some money wired to me from home, and for some time I stayed at the hotel, but I soon ran out of money because it's very expensive to live that way for a long for a long period of time. So my friends back in the friends I've been staying with, I had my well, close to that time my tax return had arrived, and I had it sent to them by regular mail. And the girl, there was a guy in the girl that I stayed with. The girl, I called her and she promised me she was going to pick me up, but the day when I was expecting her, she never arrived. So I called her and I said, "Hey, what's up? Are you gonna come again?" And then she threw a fit. I don't know what happened. She told me, "Nope, I'm not gonna help you. You shouldn't have come here in the first place. You're apparently not used to big cities, and you're a country boy, blah blah blah." But that was never a problem because I'd been in other cities before, London, Paris, and so on. Both of them much bigger than Houston. I mean, this could happen to anyone. So I had two options. I could either stay in Houston and be homeless, or I could try to get to her by foot because I had no money left. I expected her to help me get my other money, so I had spent everything I had on food and housing and so on. And I started walking. On a Sunday morning around 10-11 a.m. I wasn't sure how to get to her, to the other city where my friend was living, so I asked for directions, and I don't know why, but the people, they gave me false directions, and at 9 in the evening, it was pitch black, and I realized, this is not the way. So I started hitchhiking back to Houston, and the guy picked me up. He drove me back to Houston, showed me how to get to my friend, and I started walking again, and the entire Houston is surrounded by highways. So I walked on these elevated highways high up in the air, and the only thing I could think of was that I hope the police is not going to arrest me. Cars passed by really fast, very close to me, but that didn't bother me. But when morning came, I was feeling really bad. I was nauseous. Because I was dehydrated. I never got anything to drink. I had muscle cramps, and my shoes were broken. So I had walked barefoot for some time. The distance between Lake City, where my friend was living at, and Houston is, it's about 30 American miles. It's a long way. And do that twice. I mean, I walked like 10 hours in vain. So after I couldn't do it anymore, so I sat down. I called 911. I said, I need help. I'm not feeling well. Police came. I guess he thought I was on drugs or something, so he handcuffed me and took me to a nearby hospital. Over there, I was in the room, and I started vomiting all over the floor. And so I was admitted for maybe a day. And it was the first time that, first time I felt safe. Soon after, a caseworker came by and told me she knew of a homeless shelter. And so they had someone from the staff put me in a wheelchair and drive me to the shelter. And
Did you end up reporting the guy that assaulted?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I left it out. I did report him. Do you mean sexual assault or the mugging?
Both.
Yeah, I did. Well, when it comes to the mugging, I didn't know I didn't have any name or address or anything, so that never led anywhere. But the other guy, I knew his name, I knew where he lived and so on. And the detective who took my report, he told me, this guy, he's homosexual, and he's been arrested before for exposing himself, and I said, no, I didn't know that. You should have told me. Too bad you didn't. And so, anyway, so I got to the shelter, and there I got some new clothes, because when I reported the sexual assault, the police, they took me to a hospital where they did a rape kit, and so they kept my clothes. And I didn't have any choice anymore because they were broken. So I got some clothes, and got to eat food, and I had to clean myself. And a day or two later, I had my first job. I helped the mother and her adult son move. The son had some drug problems, so he had been forced to move. He had been evicted because other people in the apartment complex had found him passed out in the stairs. So they had to move. So I helped them move and clean their old apartment, and I became friends with these two people. And the next week they invited me for Sunday dinner. Well, that job was just temporary, but 2 days later I got another job as a painter, and that job was more steady. I mean, it was hard. I worked 12, 13 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I made $5-6 an hour. But I was very happy because that meant I could buy food and so on, and buy hygiene products and new clothes. But some of the other clients at the shelter, they knew about my situation, and they felt I was depriving them of job opportunities. So one day one of them threatened me with calling the INS. Back then it was it stands for the Immigration Naturalization Services. It's a non-existing agency. But back then what they did was they would pick up people and deport them. So when he told me that I had violated his constitutional rights and so on by taking this painting job, and he demanded to have my money. And when the caseworkers at the shelter found out, they got very upset with him. So he had to return my money or get kicked out from there, and that made him even more aggravated. So the next day, the wife of his friend, who was also living there, told me that these two guys, they had planned to hurt me. These were real, violent feelings, with access to guns and everything. So I ran away. I couldn't stay there anymore because I didn't know what they were capable of.
How come you didn't go back to Sweden?
Because I was stubborn and proud, and I wanted to help the police catch this guy who did this to me. Because so he had worked with exchange students in the past, right? That's what he told me, and I figured that if he did this to me, maybe he had done it to someone else too, and maybe he would keep doing it. And if I didn't have money to go back and forth, and so if I left, had I left, then I would not have been able to come back and testify at the trial. But while I was staying at that shelter, I had been living there for maybe 2-3 weeks. I had met the girl, and we had become very good friends, even more than friends. So I went to her house, and I told her what happened, that these guys were gonna hurt me, and I said I'm not going back there. And few hours, the manager of the shelter showed up, and he tried to convince me to go back. But he told me these guys, they were just talking. They promised me they're not gonna do anything. But I told him, we're sharing room. There's no guarantee they're not gonna come up with something in the night. Because all the males at the shelter had a big room with bunk beds where we slept and so on, and the women had this separate room. And so I stayed with my girlfriend the night, and the next day he had arranged a place for me. He had contacts with the local church, and this church they rented apartments to people in my situation, battered women and so on. So then I got my first apartment, and that was a good time actually, because I started meeting nice people. I made some friends. I went to Six Flags and went out to the cinema, and I did a lot of things that the young people do. I went to a baseball game, etc., etc. But in the beginning of September, it was time for the trial, but there was no evidence against this guy. They hadn't found any, because I had showered in the morning, so there was no evidence. And the district attorney told me that we're not allowed to mention his previous arrests. So not at this stage, because it was only a grand jury hearing. But back then, my girlfriend, she had fallen ill, and she would pass out often, unexpectedly, all of a sudden, just collapse several times a day. And so I was afraid that if I would go back, that nobody would be there to look after her. So what we did was we got ourselves another apartment for the two of us, because when I met her, she was, she was living with her mother, and they weren't, in her family, they weren't giving her the help she needed. She was an immigrant from Mexico, and she had it tough, and the mother was suffering from domestic abuse and so on. And she had planned to run away, because life was not so easy for her. But instead, the two of us moved in together, and things just got worse on her part. At times when she fell, she hit the ground. She hit the head so hard on the floor that she lost her memory. She forgot who I was, and when that happened, had my visa expired, and so I couldn't really talk to I was afraid, to talk to people, because what if they would, turn me? I didn't like the situation being illegal, but she was more important than my well-being, because she was my life. I was prepared to do anything for her. So, and she would be later on. Well, eventually we did contact the doctor, but he said there was nothing we could do. And so all I could do when she fell was just to sit there and hold her hand. And this happened often, many times a day for years. But luckily I didn't, live illegal with her for long. The following year, I brought her with me to Sweden, and we got the free health insurance, and so I was able to, I got a legal job, and our life situation improved a lot, but mental health even got worse. One time she fell backwards, and I guess we'd been arguing, or we had a heated discussion, and she fell backwards and she hit her head against the corner of the door, the edge of the door, and it cracked her skull open. She bled so much. I ran to get a towel to put some pressure on the wound, but I literally within 10 seconds or so the towel was soaking wet of blood. And then she woke up and she was screaming because she was in great pain, but I kept saying, "Sorry, honey, sorry, I had to do this." Had to put pressure on it even if it hurt her. And then I called the ambulance and they came and picked her up. And another time we were outside on the balcony. We were living in downtown, and like on the 10th floor or something, it was just concrete beneath, and she was sitting on the railing of the balcony, and then she passed out. And usually I was able to get to her, but this time I was too far away, and I never made it there on time, and I knew I wasn't gonna get there, so instead I just covered my face, cause I knew she had fallen backwards and passed out, falling, I don't know, 30 feet down the asphalt and concrete, that can kill anyone. So I sat there with my eyes closed for like 10 minutes because I was paralyzed. I was so scared that she had died. But then I opened my eyes slowly, and I could see her leg. And even now, I think, it's been like 11 years, or 10 years since that incident, and even now when I think about it, I get scared, and so on. It still haunts me. When I was homeless and all that, I was never really afraid, but I would feel lonely at times, and because I really had no one. Nobody, I never told anyone. I never called home, and I didn't tell anyone. Because I back then I thought that would have been a sign of weakness. And that it would have been weak for me to, 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 to call back home and say, that this will happen. And but okay, but that time when she fell off the balcony, then I was really scared for the first time. And the same thing when she cracked her skull. And I mean, these are just two incidents out of many, but those are the most vivid, and I still carry them with me. Sometimes, she didn't have a driver's license because of her condition, so she would ride a bike to work, and often many times she passed out in traffic and she got hit by cars a couple of times, and it was tough, but it was tough life back there. And not so much compassion among people. So often, I don't think any time anyone stopped and helped her. She told me that as she was laying there, she saw people laughing, and but all of this, I guess, after a while it got too much, so I started becoming very stressed, very irritated, and not with her, but with people in general, and I became very antisocial. And I guess I developed PTSD, and I hadn't even heard of it. PTSD, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder, and well, I even she was scared to. She didn't want me to talk to, to call a doctor every time she passed out, because she had had some negative experiences with doctors in Mexico. It's a very corrupt society, and doctors they lock up people. Mentally sane people, they have them locked up so they can collect money from the government. And so they tried to lock up my mother-in-law once, and at the time they tried to steal her baby. She had twins. My mother-in-law had twins, and the doctors tried to take one of them. So my ex-wife, she often begged me, don't call the doctor, don't call the hospital, I'm afraid, and me, stubborn as I was, and not asking anyone for help, I was perfectly fine with that. Well, eventually my ex-wife she got pregnant, and we had a daughter. Oh. And that was also a bit tough, because imagine you wake up, you have no idea where you're at, you want to go home, but you're in a different country, and you have a big belly, and you don't know why you have a big belly, and when your head is hurting and you see some strange guy there, and he's telling you, no, you can't go home, you're here now. And I didn't So, and every time that happened, uh, I tried to make it as easy as possible for my wife. So I would, throw a party, take her out. If she was feeling well enough, I basically dated her over again. Uh, I've dated her, I don't know, hundreds of times over the years. Now, the doctors that time when she did go to the hospital, and I think it's called an MRI scan. She had one. They told her that there was nothing they could do, but that it was gonna go away by time. And her mother had it when she was younger, and so eventually my ex, she started, her health started improving. She wasn't passing out as often anymore, and when she did, it wasn't so severe that she would lose her memory. But it still happens to maybe a couple of times a week that she passes out, and I think she's ashamed of it, so she won't admit it. But I know her too well, so I can tell when something has happened. So I assure her that I'm not gonna laugh at you and think you're stupid, and I'm not gonna make fun of you and so on. I mean, this must be very hard on her. And that's what happened. Every time she woke up, I would laugh, and she thought, I was making fun of her, but that's not it. I was so happy. I was giggling because I was so happy that she did wake up, that she wasn't in a coma, or that she didn't die, because she almost did die a few times. Falling downstairs, and you name it. This is one of the reasons why I talk to her so often. I call her like twice a day, because even though we're not married and we're not living together, she's still a part of me, and until she finds someone else, gets remarried, finds a boyfriend, I'm gonna be there and make sure she's okay.
That's very admirable. It is. How did you get through all those years? They must have been so tough on you.
I know, it was. Some people, they start doing drugs and drink and develop different addictions. Well, I didn't.
Wow.
Because I kept telling myself that if you do that, then you're mentally weak. And there are lots of people who have it much worse. And even though what I went through was no pleasant experience, I mean, a lot of people experience this every day. And I'm not even comparing myself to them. My main point is that you should ask for help, because if I heard about a similar case, if someone came to me and told me that they had been through the exact same things that I went through, I wouldn't think I wouldn't look down this person, and I wouldn't patronize this person. I would do my best to help him or her. And that's another thing. I, you know, I have volunteered for many things. I have translated for free I help rape victims and so on, by translating for them at the police station, and because I've taken in homeless people over the years, and I've done so many things that I wish someone would have done for me back then. Because even though I never asked for help, I guess unconsciously I wished for it, and I did get help eventually. But you know, not like therapy wise or anything like that. And I basically devoted myself to you know, making this world a bit better.
That's amazing. That really is that you were able to do that. I hope your story inspires other people to go out and help and ask for help. I think it's so hard for so many people to do that.
Well, I don't think of it as a good thing. It's just something that feels right for me. But you know, I understand if people don't want to do it, if they have enough problems with their own lives. But it's just something that makes me feel a little bit better. And hopefully, you know, the biggest reward I get out of it is by feeling that I make a difference to someone.
I think it's amazing what you're doing. I do. I know a lot of people have been through things, but it's hard to do what you're doing. It is, and it's easier to get, you know, become addicted to drugs and, you know, find other things just, you know, to numb your pain or forget about what happened. But you didn't do that, and I think that's amazing.
You know, even now, when it's been almost 13 years, you know, it still affects me. I really don't have a social life because I'm extremely picky with who I hang around with. I'm very critical of people. You know, when it comes to their characters, and I am often very stressed, and and I hope it's not gonna stay like this forever. But perhaps if I hadn't been so stubborn and I would have sought help, maybe it would have been different. I don't know. But my recommendation to anyone out there is, you know, don't feel like you have to be John Wayne or Tony Soprano or any other fictional character, because you know, on planet Earth, in real life, we're all humans. We all have emotions. We all get scared. We all get sad, regardless of gender or age. And so.
I hope your story inspires others to ask for help, and regardless if they're, you know, if they're scared or not, just to come forward. as you did, and you were brave. You were very courageous, and you stayed in a country you didn't even know to fight, and for others that it may have happened to. And I think that's so inspiring to hear.
Well, thank you.
It's wonderful. It is, and I think a lot of people are just scared. They get scared of what can happen. And, I was in a situation, and I was scared to report that person because of the repercussions that it could have came with reporting them. And I think a lot of people are afraid.
Well, I guess this is just a theory of mine, one of my theories. But I think that there is a certain stigma attached to male victims of sexual assault, and well, I'm glad to see. It seems like that is changing. That with a lot of help from media, of course, our society is becoming more open-minded, and I think that's a good thing.
I do too. I think there definitely needs to be more awareness of this, and to not, just, stand up for yourself, and, it's nothing that you did wrong, and, that person needs to, have charges faced against him, and it's just, it doesn't just happen to women.
But each case is the pain is just the same. I'm not saying anything else. But I think it's a little more difficult for a guy to talk about it. And I hope it's changing.
I want to thank you for sharing your story. I can't.
Yeah, no problem.
How hard it's been for you. Are you? What are you doing now? Are you in school?
I am a full-time grad student. I am in econometrics. I'm currently researching wage discrimination against Hispanic females in the United States.
Wow.
And I would like to, once I graduate, I would like to continue doing research into matters that are connected in a way to Latin America.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very awesome. What career are you looking to get into when you're done with your master's program?
Probably, well, the best chance I have getting a job is would be for a governmental agency. I have already had a job offer, but I would rather work for an NGO, a non-governmental organization, or a major bank or something like that.
Wow, I wish you the best of luck.
Well,
You're very courageous, and I really have so much respect for you.
thank you, Candice.
Well, I know it's what is it, like 2:53 in the morning over there?
Yeah. Right.
I really appreciate you doing this. It's so late over there.
The thing is that I'm so, this isn't that easy for me, so I guess the stress, but I'm a little bit stressed right now, and it prevents me from feeling tired. I guess, when our interview is over, when I hit the bed, I'm gonna, fall asleep almost immediately. But right now, I can't feel it.
Does it make you feel better when you talk about certain things, or with anyone? 'Cause I know you said you haven't shared this with anyone, but like speaking here, does this bring any kind of...
No. Okay, the salt, that doesn't bother me anymore. It hasn't bothered me for years. And what troubles me the most is knowing that something might happen to my ex, and that I'm not gonna be there to help her, and I'm also troubled by these painful memories of all the accidents she's had and so on. Because there was nothing I could do, and I spoke to her on the phone today, and she was not well today either. She hadn't passed out, but I could tell she was feeling really bad. And
does she have support? Does she have anyone that she can call in case there's an emergency, or is there anyone there that...
yeah, I mean, our daughter is, she has friends and that she shares these things with, and our daughter is 11. She actually turns 11 today. It's her birthday today.
Wow, happy birthday to her.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna visit them later today. So my daughter has seen mommy passing out a few times, and that was also a big thing that troubled me. That my daughter was gonna feel feel bad about it, and so if something would happen to my ex, my daughter would call 911. She would call me, and that has happened. But still, it's still not the same thing as being there. And at times I wish we could live together, so I could be with her all the time. But that's not going to happen because we had some marital problems, like all divorced couples do. So and yeah, but perhaps one day in the future things will be better.
Wow, your daughter's turning 11. I hope today is a great day for her. I do.
Yeah, she's very excited about it. She's gonna have a big party with her friends. And it's payday for me too, so I'm gonna be able to give her many things.
Wow.
But most importantly, my company. Because nothing beats mommy and daddy being together.
Oh, there's always hope in the future. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's always hope. And you two may, come together again. Be together.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of me still loves her, and she's always gonna be part of my life. But so yeah, hopefully one day we'll be together.
I wish you the best. I hope
Thank
your
you.
daughter has a great birthday. 11, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Wow. What is she in 6th grade?
No, the school system here is a bit different. She is in 4th grade. She's going to start 5th grade this summer, and we recently got to a better school, and you know, my daughter is a great kid. I know every parent says stuff, but you know, she doesn't like cursing, and her favorite toys are like a calculator, and she likes to make web pages and program apps and mobile apps and Facebook apps
Wow, that's
and,
great.
and making noise and things like that. So you know, she's a nice kid, and I hope she'll stay that way.
Oh, I'm sure she will. She has great
Oh,
friends, and it sounds like she's following in her dad's footsteps. That's, oh, that's so great to hear. I'm so glad.
thank you very much.
I want to thank you again for having the courage to, share your story. I hope it inspires others to come
Oh,
forward.
and
Ask for
again,
help.
thank you for having me, Dennis.
Well, I hope you have a great day. I know it's so late, and I don't want. I know you have your daughter's party, and I don't want to keep you up any longer. I just want to thank you for doing this. I know it's so late over there.
It's okay. I prepared for this interview.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank you again, and I just my gratitude goes out to you, and I wish your daughter the best birthday ever, and good luck with everything, with school and whatever other things you have going on in your life. I hope we chat again.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you any longer. But thank you for sharing. I appreciate it so much. I just hope it helps others to come out and ask for help and helps them get through whatever tough times that they're going through right now, and they're not alone.
I hope we will. And I hope we're going to see other hangouts, you know?
Yeah.
That is also going to inspire people to create more hangouts on there.
Yes, definitely. That's the goal.
Yeah. So, well, good night to you, Candice, and good night to the others.
Good night, and wish your daughter a very, very happy birthday.
Thank you.
Good night.